In Straw, Taraji P. Henson delivers the most emotionally arresting, psychologically nuanced, and socially resonant performance of her career. As Jania Wilkinson, a mother who quietly crumbles under the weight of accumulated trauma, Henson does not merely portray a woman on the brink. She becomes the accumulation of systemic neglect, emotional isolation, and maternal desperation. Her role is not just a character performance, it is a vessel through which Straw tells its story of unseen pain and unanswered cries. Tyler Perry, known for exploring Black womanhood through heightened drama and moral complexity, entrusts Henson with a role that strips away everything but truth. The story rises and falls on her shoulders. Her performance is the film's soul fragile, aching, and unflinchingly real. At the core of Henson's portrayal is an absence of vanity. There is no attempt to sanitize Jania's pain or make her suffering beautiful. In fact, much of the film is shot with unflattering lighting, stark close-ups, and long, quiet takes that allow the viewer to live in Jania's exhaustion. This realism is essential to the impact of her role. Henson brings to the screen a woman who is tired, but not theatrically so. It's a deep, cellular fatigue. You see it in her eyes when she walks through the grocery store, in her shoulders as she slouches at the bank, in her breath as she runs home to check on her daughter. This is acting not with lines, but with bone and breath. In lesser hands, Jania's suffering could come across as melodrama, but Henson's restraint, her choice to underplay rather than overperform, gives the character a lived-in authenticity. She never asks the audience to pity her. She simply invites us to witness her unraveling. The brilliance of Taraji's performance lies in how she builds Jania's mental collapse from the ground up. Early in the film, Jania's hallucinations are indistinguishable from reality for the character and the audience. Her daughter Arya appears healthy, happy, and in her care. Conversations flow. Routines seem intact. But Henson leaves hint glances that last a moment too long, smiles that flicker into sorrow, murmured reassurances that feel directed more at herself than anyone else. This is psychological acting at its finest. Rather than playing Jania's breakdown as a sudden event, Henson shows us a mind quietly tearing along its seams. The moment we learn acting year has been dead all along, everything Henson has done previously suddenly recontextualizes. It's not just a twist, it's a revelation, and her performance makes it devastating. She shows us that mental illness, particularly trauma-induced psychosis, can exist in plain sight. It doesn't always look like hysteria. Sometimes, it looks like a mother going to work, talking to her child, and trying to cash a check. A key theme in Straw is motherhood, not just as a relationship, but as identity, religion, and burden. Jania's entire world is built around her daughter. Taraji embodies the sacredness of that bond, with heartbreaking tenderness. In scenes where she bathes Arya, sings to her, or comforts her, there's a deep authenticity that avoids sentimentality. These moments feel private, sacred, as though we are intruding on something holy. What makes this so impactful is the later realization that these interactions are hallucinations. Henson doesn't play them with hesitation or uncertainty. She plays them as true, because for Jania they are. She treats the ghost of her daughter as real, not in a creepy or delusional way, but with the same grounding as any grieving mother who talks to a gravestone or clutches a child's last toy. Henson elevates motherhood to something spiritual in this role, while also portraying how its loss can spiritually annihilate a person. Her performance is a meditation on the unbearable silence that follows a mother's scream when her child is gone and the world keeps turning. Henson's role also serves as the film's primary conduit for social critique. Through Jania, Straw explores how institutions, banks, landlords, employers, healthcare, law enforcement systematically fail poor Black women. Henson doesn't need a soapbox speech to make the point. Her performance is the speech. In Dorcas, we see her dismissed at the bank, judged by Child Protective Services, gaslit by school officials, and criminalized in the media. Her invisibility is palpable. Even as she holds a bank hostage, she is not truly seen until Detective K. Raymond, Tayana Taylor, recognizes her pain, not just her threat. Henson's performance gives dignity to this struggle. She shows us how a person becomes desperate, not in one moment, but through years of being ignored, devalued, and pushed aside. By the time she picks up the gun, it no longer feels like a crime. It feels like a cry. Henson also uses her physicality to devastating effect. She doesn't walk, she trudges. She doesn't cry, she trembles. In one scene, after being denied her paycheck, she simply slumps against the wall outside the bank. There are no tears, No outbursts, just her body folding inward like a flower wilting under heat. Her voice shifts throughout the film. In early scenes it's light and maternal. During the hallucinated school confrontation, it's urgent. During the standoff it becomes detached, weary, and eerily calm, like someone whose soul is already halfway gone. This progression is not accidental. It's Henson crafting a character whose breakdown is physical, vocal, emotional, and spiritual. The climax of Straw is unforgettable, not because of action, but because of stillness. After learning the truth about Arya's death, Jania emerges from the bank with her hands raised. Taraji's expression in that moment is not fear, it's not anger, it's release. Second and Northa, she looks peaceful, even in handcuffs. It's the peace of someone who has finally stopped fighting a war no one else saw. In this moment, Henson turns surrender into grace. She shows us that sometimes survival is not about resisting, but about finally allowing yourself to be held by justice, by truth, by community. The final shot lingers on her face. No words, just breath, just presence. And it is utterly haunting. Taraji P. Henson's role in Straw is not just the best performance in the film, it is the film. Her portrayal of Jania Wilkinson is a cinematic eulogy for women who suffer in silence, a psalm for mothers who bury children, and an indictment of a world that only pays attention once a gun is drawn. She performs not with spectacle, but with soul. She doesn't ask the audience to like her. She demands that we understand her. And in doing so, she gives us one of the most complex, heartbreaking, and human portrayals of black womanhood in modern cinema. In Straw, Taraji P. Henson reminds us that sometimes, it's not the loudest performance that lingers, it's the truest one.